And then should we start? Where does it start, man?
At the end.
So let's go to where it starts. And then we'll try and move the linear manner through it, and then we'll be on this people's fair. So actually I have dinner again, so we gotta get 2 minutes in.
Nice.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Nice. I didn't even fucking talk about the color scheme.
I love that you talked about the waves. Like because Josh was shooting this and he's like, what's this shit? And I'm like, they're skegs, I think, right?
The what?
Skegs. They're supposed to be like, aren't they supposed to be surfing skegs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surfboards.
Yeah. Oh, the boards themselves, not necessarily the fins.
Whoa, it's supposed to be a surfboard kind of bobbing in a wave. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of it. This is, technically supposed to be like a Neptune sort of individual that's pushing the surfboards into movement, I guess you can say, and of course it's bobbing surfboards in and out. And the way I figured it would be cool to have these three-dimensional aspects because two-dimensionally is not a surfboard or a fucking skateboard for that matter, it's all about these, long to small to thick aspects of skate. You got a whole bunch of skateboards out. You got a short deck, you got a longboard, you got the short longboards, all that kind of thing, and they're always different shapes. And through time, see, it's supposed to be the evolution. So technically, you're supposed to start from this wave aesthetic into these surfboards, and you're gonna have, your first skateboard here, which is supposed to be 2x4s nailed on fucking skates, and then you go into the aesthetic of somebody actually riding a skateboard. You got, once again, this wave aesthetic, but this fool's riding it like a skateboard, and all these things got the fish here, which the youth did a great job at painting. This is all youth right here, and you got these wave aesthetics here. And then once again, this is probably a 60s, 70s skateboard without the kicktail. You haven't started the kicktail yet, and the way people skated it back then were double feet like this, and you didn't have the style or the slickness, I guess you can say that nowadays. And you kind of go into this aesthetic, you still have the waves coming, and then you have the, you start to get into it. You start to get into how they actually start riding skateboards now. And this is probably 70s aesthetic. It's got more of a kicktail. You can't much tell. It's more of a silhouette, Scales like a fish, still that aesthetic. And then right here, when it begins in the 80s, you got this guy with this thicker skateboard at the end, which you can see here, which is, you have this super, grasping the 80s skateboard still.
Okay, pause just a second. I want to make sure Juan is over here so we get the audio of that. Okay, so then moving to the 80s, you said, start there.
Yeah, but still, moving to the 80s, you got this much thicker board with this weird shape. His feet are pivoted much more of a style. You got pads here, it's hard to tell, but it's a pad, skateboard pad. And once again, you have this oddly shaped 80s board, with these weird waves coming in. And then you start to get into more of a new style, which here begins to be the nollie, which, you got the double-sided kicktail. You don't just have the one-sided kicktail, which is more of a 90s style. Which you can see here, you've got much more of a rounded board with trucks now, wheels, baggier pants. And that's when it gets into a much more chaotic piece with these interesting 70s, 60s, 50s, 80s, 90s boards, just going crazy, which is more interpreted into my female here, who I felt like, it's not just a guy sport, it's definitely females involved in it. So I felt like this female with like a jellyfish, almost beanie, with like the dreaded locks kind of coming through, breaking through the beanie and grabbing along the boards and that whole aesthetic. Again, for these boards, you got the grind pads, you know. I remember, I was born in the 90s and still remember the grind pads. Like, I was riding grind pads for a minute, you know what I mean? So, that whole aesthetic was neat to put into it. Most of my works derive from, like I said, figurative works and pattern works. There's a lot of patterns kind of included into it. And then you get into the last part of my mural, which is probably the best aesthetic of the whole piece, which is this head just broken open, a hollowed out head of simply just decks spilling out of it. A whole bunch of designs, reds, blacks, grays, with almost this individualistic mind, in a sense, you know. It's just supposed to grasp that whole idea of you know, skateboarders have a mentality, you know, always trying to skate, always trying to do best, always trying to be better, you know, learning new tricks and that kind of thing. And that's, I think, where the pattern work comes into play as well, because I think a lot of pattern work has a mind of its own. You look at it and think to yourself, oh, what does this pattern represent? And I think that opinionation is really key in this piece. And the black and whites and grays are more for, you know, not only was it for time consumption, but that's just what I like to do. I don't like to add a lot of color in my shade. I think it gives it a better, a more meaningful feel, being black and white. Because that way you don't know. You don't know what race they are. You don't know where they come from. That doesn't matter. It's all about, you know, what you see. And they don't even need smiles. Like that's my favorite part about doing figurative arts is putting a blank face on them, you know. You don't know what the hell they're thinking, what they're doing. All you know is they enjoy skateboarding. And that's the key, right? That's definitely the key of this piece for sure. And what age are they? I don't know. It doesn't matter, right?
You have a name for this piece?
It's called The Evolution to Skating. And literally, it's supposed to be the evolution to skating from the beginning to the end.
Word. Well, I'd say that's a wrap, unless you got something else you want to drop real quick. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. All right, let's dump the footage so everybody can go home and do what they need to do.
So basically, Matt, what we're gonna do is just ignore these cameras, okay? They're not here. You're just having a conversation with me about the process of this piece. Alright, so that's all we're doing now. We're just having a conversation. Don't think about the cameras, they're not here. Alright. So what you're doing right now, are you rolling one? So what you're doing right now is you're laying out the original sketches for your mural, is that right?
I'm laying out the sketches for my mural.
Nice. Okay.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Can you talk about this mural? What so you got like...
So originally the project was, be challenging towards myself in a sense. So immediately what I thought was a community-based youth art project. And so what I did was I built this design for the youth per se, for the skateboarders of the area. Skateboarding has been a huge part of my life since I've been like 9 or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty much, and it was for to get the community involved. It was mostly for the community, not being presented in a gallery space or a museum. Simply be out in the public for everybody to see, especially the area. I mean, it's in Marina, so it's pretty much, yeah.
Where in Marina is it?
Oh, it's at the skate park, Marina Skate Park, by like Los Arboles Middle School. Who the Los Arboles kids are the ones that help me do most of this pattern work. And
What do you mean by that? They helped you do the pattern work? They actually kind of said to you, this is how we envision it?
No. So basically what happened was during the process of my capstone, I had to make a design, a maquette of a public piece, considering that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be, I wanted it to be a public piece. So I had to go to the city of Marina. Immediately they said, we'll work with the youth. This is a great project for you. So then what we did is we went to Los Arboles Middle School, and there's this after school program. It's an art program of Marina Youth Arts kids, which I don't know if you're familiar, but Marina Youth Arts is pretty much this program to get the youth involved from who knows how small to about age of 13 probably. Once you're about a teen, you're not really like technically a youth anymore, I guess.
So you got them involved in the sense of, you said, hey, this is me, I'm a student, I'm working on this senior thesis project, this capstone, and then you kind of educated them about the process of you making this piece? Is that what I'm understanding? Like, their involvement was what? You were a tutor to them, a mentor to them?
Yeah, in a sense, I wasn't necessarily teaching them how to paint, I was getting them involved in painting. The kids at Marina Youth Arts, which is a program who gave me the funding for this project, they basically, told me that working with the youth is beneficial not only to me but to everyone else. And I said, before you say a word, I already had the youth, involved. And as far as them telling me how to go about it, I kind of said, the Los Arboles kids are excited, mostly 11-year-olds, and they were stoked to see the process of how I came about this design.
Cool. So you were able to basically work on the political aspect of public art, which is basically building support in a community, which you did by interacting with the community. At the same time, you were educating the community. So, it must have been a great experience.
It was an interesting experience and all. As far as, Marina has no type of art committee in a sense. Marina Youth Arts is it, and there's no public art in the area. So I felt that Marina was perfect for a mural opportunity, and to get the community and the youth involved and into something that everybody enjoys. I don't care who you are. I talked to multiple people. Even my dad, who originally didn't care much about skateboarding, is now hugely involved, and people just are super enthusiastic about having a public piece in their community, as well as just seeing the evolution of skateboarding kind of expanding.
Awesome. Yeah, that always inspires me, man. When you kind of go in as an artist and you see something and you feel that look from people, like when you explain what you're doing and they're just like, what the hell is this guy on, kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, what is he doing, right?
Yeah, and then you start to build it and they get kind of excited because they see that it's fun, and then when it gets to this point and they see how it's adding aesthetic value to their community, it's a cool thing, man. I guess the other question I had was, there's some pretty interesting abstract sort of colors going on here, and like how did you come up with, why did you choose the colors you chose? Was it based on any other kind of images that you were thinking of, or did it just kind of come out of your imagination. Can you talk about that? Why these figures, what these figures represent beyond the obvious of skateboarding?
Well, I'm a figurative individual, I guess. I see things in a figurative manner. And I've studied the figure for a little while. So I guess in this piece, originally it was all figures. There are many more figures than you see here, but the question was, where do you see the skateboarding aesthetic? Skateboarding has a lot of movement involved in it. Not only did it, start on concrete, but it actually began from the sea, you know what I'm saying? These fools were surfing before they had a skateboard under their feet. So I thought that, these waves and these kind of movements were right for the piece. And like I said, I'm a figurative artist, so I've been drawing figures for who knows how long, and I've always been interested in the abstraction of, the way people move, faces and stuff like that. Like the end of my mural where you see like the opening of the head and the face kind of dropping off. It's kind of like, what can you only think? Skateboarding's on his mind, skateboarding's been in his mind for a while. And that's kind of the way I drove this project into success, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, you did a good job, man. It's like eye-poppingly beautiful, honestly. So I guess, I'm just gonna wrap it up quick because I know everybody's busy, but the last question I would have for you is like, for that little grommet artist out there in the world, who's thinking about doing stuff, but somebody's telling them not to do it. Like, what would you say to them? Why would you say do your art? Why is art important to do?
Well, it's for the public. It's for the audience. It's not. I'm sick of people being intrigued with their own shit. It's kind of like, man, it's not for you. It's for everyone to see. Gallery art's awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But think about it. Nobody else is seeing it but the people in the gallery. It's all about the public and the audience involved, the community that's at large. Skateboarding is a huge part of everybody's community. There's always one skateboarder, or several for that matter, And I think people see skateboarders as kind of a flaw in society, you know what I mean? You're seeing these skateboarders, fucking like punks and that type of thing. And it's not even it. Like, you're brilliant in your own manner,
Says she can, and that's alright, 'cause that's what she